Hello and welcome everyone to Mesmerize with Nina. This is the place where we explore the question, how can you lead a life true to yourself? And we're going to do this through the tarot today. So, one of my favorite vehicles to do symbolic work is working with the tarot cards. And you see, we have a little co tarot reader here today, which is my little dog Emil, who will hopefully be a bit of a help and not too much of a distraction. Let's see. So, how this will work is I do not see tarot as a tool to foretell our future or me telling you how your life is going. But for me, the tarot is a way to meditate on where we are right now in our lives. So, as I like to say it, is when we look at the sky and the different stars or all of these events and threads that are currently weaving through our lives, it can sometimes be a bit overwhelming finding out, okay, where to go next or what does this mean to me? And so working with symbols is a way to pull all of these different stars together and then name them, have a different name for them, have them be their own star cluster, and then when these events come together we have a name for it, a clarity emerges, and with that we can move into a state of acceptance, and then also moving on from that place of acceptance, from a place of conscious creation. And so I hope that this work today with the tarot, with these sacred symbols that you might find also in your dreams or in fairy tales or in myths, that this enriches your life in a certain way. Because I mean, the channel is called To Mesmerize, right? It's about becoming mesmerized with life, with our own lives, and allowing wonder and mystery to have a place here, because the truth is we don't know a lot about this life. We know shit, right? So I think there's a certain humility in symbol work, in acknowledging there is a mystery. And yet, once we start communicating with this mystery, with the unconscious, that these symbols become these bridges between our consciousness and the unconscious. And they they offer us a guidance of what wants to be expressed through us. And so, how this will work is I'm going to have three piles, and each of these piles is going to have a significator card that you can pick out. And I'll show them in a moment. And then for each of these piles, I'm going to ask three questions. And this time I asked on my Substack notes which questions you would like me to ask. And so we have the three questions, which each pile is going to look at. What am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to receive? And where to place my energy right now? And so, with this, let's maybe take three grounding breaths, and then I'm going to show to you the three cards. So, whenever you're ready, you can close down the eyes. And you can take an inhale through the nose, filling up the belly, feeling maybe how the back expands, drawing it up until your chest, maybe holding for a moment, and then exhaling through the mouth. Maybe also wiggling out the arms, loosening the shoulders, the face. And then going for another one, drawing in another breath through the nose, maybe filling up again the belly, the back, the chest. Maybe even you want to pull up your shoulders and tense your body a bit now, letting go of things you don't need. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and let go. And one last time on your own. And so maybe if there's an intention that you currently hold for yourself or a question, allow that to emerge, become conscious. And then maybe there's already one of these piles that stands out to you, 1, 2, or 3, or maybe it's several for different areas of your life. You can listen in. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right. So we have three cards. And so for pile number one, if there was maybe no number, there is this significator card. And by the way, you also have this in the post below. So there are pictures of each of the cards if you want to look at them in more detail. And you can also listen to this as a podcast, by the way, if you're on the go. Pile number two. And pile number three. I'm so proud I found a way how it sharpens on the cards. So I'm going to go dive into the different piles. You find down below under timestamps where your different piles start. And I'll say this right now already. Thank you so much for being here. And if you want to support me, ooh, there is a storm coming right now. How amazing is this for a card reading? But if you want to support me, please share this with a friend within your network on wherever you are, or consider becoming a paid subscriber. I have on the 8th of August, the Lionsgate portal, I have a tarot read in live coming up, and I would so much love to see many of you there. There will be more information up on this channel here. And so thank you so much for your support. Please like, comment which pile you had and how it resonates. And now let's dive in. All right, pile number one. So we're going to start with you. And we're actually going to stay with the archetypes for a moment. So, interestingly, the card that you picked is the Destroyer. And it's also a card that I associate with my beloved Mr. Emil here because there's a black dog on it. Um, so, we're going to have three questions, as we said. Three questions. What are you ready to let go? What are you ready to receive? And then where to place your energy right now. And as always, please pick what resonates. These cards, they offer symbols, so they may mean something completely different to you than what I'm saying, or also notice whatever I'm saying, what it brings up in you as you're listening. So, and we have your three cards are ready. So, let's go. Oh, interesting. So that's already interesting. For card one, what are you ready to let go of? I thought I have my piles here on the side that I would pull from one pile and I had my eyes closed and essentially I pulled from something completely different. So maybe on what you're ready to let go of, that is already a part of it. But let's look at it in order to determine that. So what are you ready to let go of? Ooh, the card. Flirtation. Dear ones, what are you entangled with? um, so I've been also looking over here at the bottom of this. We have the father card. And I mean, if you pick the pile that says the destroyer, interestingly, before when I meditated for this pile also, I saw a hook and a snake, which are signs for me for also Kali. So the goddess Kali, who is the goddess who is in charge of death and rebirth. And so I feel what it's currently about for you in general, or the symbol that might come up for you is the topic of destroyance, of growing out of something and something new emerging. And with this card, that it's about to, that you're ready to let go of flirtation. And we have the father, which is something very patriarchal. Um, I feel like there is that you've been maybe subscribing to a life or in a specific area of your life to something very, what society would like us to do, very maybe also a bit conventional, that you are very much, it's not, I think you always kind of knew that that you're more creative, maybe a bit more weird, a bit more empathetic, a bit more sensitive, but somehow you somehow go back to this very structured kind of way of being, which was good for you and which kind of offers you um, safety, but you're ready to grow out of that. And so the flirtation for me sort of has this, it could be maybe very well that you're flirting with someone and you're ready to let it go, but it has two dimensions for me. I feel like you're really on this path of outgrowing that actually. So you're in that transformative state, and there are things in your life which are allowed to be destroyed, burnt down. And new things to be created. And somehow you're flirting with keeping these old flames alive. Somehow you have something really good going on, um, that is maybe also offering you a real structure. So I'll give you an example. Let's also see it with dating someone, but it could also be a job or an endeavor or so. Let's say you have found a new partner. You've been in a relationship for maybe some time, maybe a year or so, and you're actually really happy with that partner. But whenever something is going on with you, you start to project it onto them. So let's say you're really angry, and you don't know how to let go of your anger. And so instead, you start projecting that onto your partner. So you think he's really angry, or you're getting really angry at them the whole time. And then what you're doing is you are starting to maybe bring back old partners, maybe that old partner who cheated on you and who left you and who never made you happy, right? It's almost like that job that never really made you happy, but somehow something within you says, yeah, but back then I was so crazy in love, and that was so nice and that was so endearing, and I'm not feeling that with my new partner now, so maybe I should just let it all go. Maybe this is not the right thing. So there's a it's really as if there's this weird flirtation with the old thing that was like, yeah, but that partner, yes, you were madly in love, but that was not love. That was a trauma response. And that partner was not as great as you thought of them. That idealization that you had, they never lived up to it. Or, yes, back then when you started the job, you were so excited, but also that job never actually made you as happy as you thought you would be. But you're somehow flirting with these old thoughts. Or the invitation is to think of what are you maybe flirting with that you're actually ready to let go of. And here I think security is something very interesting that's coming up, because I feel like you have that narrative of this is what security looked like. For instance, massive sexual attraction, right? This is what security looked like. Or also having a monthly paycheck. This is what security looked like, but it never made you happy. But somehow something now comes up that says, oh, but wouldn't this be it, right? So it's probably linked to something patriarchal, right? So it's money, it's an antiquated sense of what safety means, of what to rely on or who you have to rely on. And now, instead of doing that, so if you're ready to release that, let that go, in a sense of just noticing, okay, these thoughts, whenever I think of my ex-partner or whenever I get so annoyed about my partner, it's an invitation for me to step back. There's something within me that uses this as a symbol to call me deeper inside myself and say, what do I really need and want? And the card flirtation is actually, this is an astrology inspired deck. So it's Sagittarius in Venus. So we have the love planet. So it could very well be related to a relationship, actually. But Sagittarius is the one with the bow and arrow. So it's the hunter, the huntress, the one that knows where they want to go. It's very fiery. It's interesting. It's again that Kali element. And so I feel actually you know very well what you want. And part of that flirtation is pretending you don't know. And that's the thing, why where the flirtation is nice and it's fun, but it's not the long-term thing. And it's almost as if that thing you dabble with of, oh, maybe I should go back to this, maybe to that old habit, to that old person, to that old job, or comparing the new thing with that, you have outgrown this. This is the reality. And maybe instead of always dabbling with the old, it's time to see what actually gives you safety now. Maybe that is no longer a monthly paycheck, but that is connecting to your creativity, because you know, even if the money runs out, you're going to be creative. Or maybe what used to make you feel very safe was just being out on your own, managing everything on your own, being super independent. But actually, now you can ask for help. So that is a safety net, that you can actually be part of a community and be transparent. And for me, letting go is always, or has these two sides. The one thing is releasing something by not just following these narratives, believing into it. That doesn't mean the thoughts aren't going to be there, but I don't have to go with them. I can respond differently now. And the second thing about letting go for me is always, what am I ready to release also out in the world? Because sometimes we hold things in within us. And so maybe the actual flirtation, instead of trying this whole old thing where you already know it doesn't work, even though it's super hard to admit because you maybe so long thought this was it. And by the way, this is a past thing. This is not the new thing you're dreaming of. It's not the new partner where you're like, oh, we're maybe dating, or I'm actually really happy with them, right? It's not this, oh, I thought it was working the past year. No, it was the stuff where you really have it in black and white. This made me sick. This person left me. This made me unhappy. You know that. We have the Sagittarius. You're clear about this, right? So don't doubt the new thing. But the flirtation, this new playful energy, you don't need it anymore through a sympathetic activation through fear. The actual excitement now is trying the new. It's allowing yourself in the new, for instance, the safe relationship that you're having, which is new to you, that someone actually stays with you, or that creative endeavor that you're trying, or asking for help. So this new thing is actually where you're allowed to flirt and experiment and find out that this is a safe haven. So what you've cultivated for yourself is a safe haven. And here I'm coming to the second question, which is, what am I ready to receive? And it's so nice because the card is the offering. And isn't it crazy that I said I saw a sickle? And here we have that moon. It's nice. Um, so what you're ready to receive is an offering. It almost feels like there are true treasures waiting for you to be uncovered inside of yourself and potentially also outside of ourselves, right? Because when we tap into our own treasures, they're going to get mirrored outside of ourselves. So there's something so good waiting for you, and you know that. And so maybe currently what needs to be destroyed is that other people outside of you told you what you also wanted to hear and what you needed, and instead it's about how you can build that self-trust to say, I don't need the old, that was really not good for me, and that is a phase that is allowed to be over, and then process that, because that can bring up some painful and scary feelings, and then allow these new offerings of life that are here to arrive. As I said, it can be really scary to have a partner and know they really like me. They've seen so many horrible things and they stay with me. And maybe because they see the really good parts of me that I've been trying so desperately to avoid or to hide, because I'm scared I'm not safe when people see how beautiful I am, or how creative I am, or how weird I am, or how happy I am. And I feel with the offering, there's this offering, how this and what is within you enriches your life, but also it's going to enrich the lives of others by you sharing that, right? So, for instance, I hope that this tarot reading does enrich your life to a certain extent. And the only reason why I do it is because I think it's just freaking fun to do it. And it's mesmerizing to work with the tarot. I was on a vacation and I come back, there's so many thoughts, and I ground down, I practice, and then I took time to meditate and clear things up. And I sit with the cards, and gradually things become clearer and clearer. Oh, I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's raining really strongly. And then here's my the final part, which is the third card, which is where to place your energy. And it's very resonant. We have Eros. So Eros is the god of sexual energy. So there is maybe something very much related to that. But I would also say your energy is allowed to go towards the things that give you pleasure. And maybe that is also quite vulnerable, because when we subscribe to patriarchal notions, we are in a very linear way of thinking about life, a linear way of thinking about beliefs and what we want. We just look to the outside and we say, oh, this is what everybody's doing, so I'll just try to do that too and do it better than others or worse than others. But once we see that security is in our relationship to ourselves and in the world and with the world and the people around us, we are more and more asked to ask ourselves, what do I really want? What is a meaningful life for me? What does pleasure mean to me? And so I feel like this invitation of where to place your energy is maybe, instead of avoiding that emptiness of not knowing it, finding it out, flirting with new things, trying out new things, right? And again, I'm back to the Sagittarius. I feel a part of you really does know what you want, and it's about, how can I allow myself to explore this, to try out new things, to be playful with this. And for me, Eros also always has a very alive energy to it. So it's something, yeah, I feel like you're going to know what you're building now. It's really about aliveness and about giving into things that maybe were scary before. Pleasure, um, your own lust, your own passion, um, your own sexual energy, maybe your own femininity, masculinity, or however you express that for yourself. So, yeah, I feel is it pile number one. And I said in the beginning, I thought I had pulled from this pile, but I pulled from the other one. Yeah. And actually, that card would have been the disappointment card for the one. So, what are you ready to let go of? The disappointment. So, the stuff where you know it wasn't good for you. And you do know. All right. Thank you, pile number one. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, please share it. And I hope to see you maybe on the 8th of August for a little live tarot or the recording. And bye. So, welcome, pile number two. I am excited to see it has started raining now. So there's a cleaning and cleansing going on for my Aletheia pile. So you've chosen the significator card Aletheia, which means truth. So I'm very excited to see what the 3 questions that we have for you are going to unravel for us. So we have 3 questions. Good. All right. So let's dive right in. Okay. So I just pulled your cards. You also have them down below. And so the first question, what are you ready to let go of? We have the Empress. Interesting. I'll almost ask like for clarification. I do have a hypothesis. Yeah. Indecision. Indecision, Venus and Libra. Interesting. Pile number one had also something relating to Venus. So something about, it could be about relationships and love, actually. But when we talk, the Empress is actually the highest feminine card in the deck of the Crowley Tarot, Thoth Tarot. And it's usually a very beautiful card that comes to invite us to step into our femininity. And this is regardless of our gender identification. We all have masculine energy and we all have feminine energy within us, the yin and the yang. So that's how I like to think of it. And usually the Empress signals that. And so for me, when we talk about letting go, there's always, that's for me in 2 things. The one thing is release. I no longer need this in my life. Clear it out as the rain washes away. And the second quality of letting go is releasing something that's been maybe within us that wants to come out, that wants to be expressed. So that can also be, I can let go of my anger by expressing my anger, right? That does not mean shouting at someone necessarily, but it's allowed to be here. And so I see that with indecision, I mean, if we were talking about these, again, I'm speaking energies, not genders, but femininity, the feminine energy that we have is a beautiful, very creative, very intuitive energy. It's the emotional energy, the sensitive one. It's the one that gives life energy. The masculine energy on the other side is the one that gives us structure, that provides the safety of how we can express that, right? And so obviously both of them have sides that can be supportive but also sides that can hold us back. And for the feminine, when we're too much in the emotional, or not, when that is having too much part and the masculine is not allowed to step in, then indecision can happen. And so we can just rethink the same stuff over and over instead of making a clear decision. And so here it is quite clear that you're maybe currently overthinking certain things, that making that you're not making decisions. And the hunch here is, or that I had already before in general, that you are clear what you want, but maybe the implications are kind of scary. And sometimes when we feel very indecisive or we make a decision and then we go back, I sometimes have that, right? That I just do something really quickly and then later on I'll go back and be like, oh, was that right? And I kind of rethink it while already doing it, which costs me a lot of energy. And I found out when I take a bit more time before when I make these decisions, um, that I I actually save down later down the line because I'm clear on it and I don't have to rethink it the whole time. But I'm like, I decided to do this. And so I am going to do this now. Not in a way of pushing myself through it, right? Of also saying, maybe I know how I want to feel. I'm clear on that. I'm clear on what I do and why I do it. And so maybe when you're struggling with indecision, the actual question to ask yourself or the thing to do is not put more pressure on yourself, maybe snuggling up. I think that's maybe a message. It's maybe taking a step back and resting for a moment, um, and and here I'm and let the second card, let your joy um, guide you for the decision. So stepping back, asking, okay, I'm going to remove the pressure. I'm going to check in. I'm going to rest. I'm going to take a bit more time for that, like allowing yourself time. And maybe also instead of making these decisions something where there's a lot of pressure, making them joyful. So, for instance, when I don't know what to do, when I overthink it, it's very exhausting. But when I allow myself to get very creative in finding these answers by meditating with them, by asking my dreams to guide me or pulling a card, I get very playful and joyful with it, right? And then making the decision is no longer this big difficult thing, but it's something I can be very joyful with. And so I feel here's the part where femininity, the empress, and her blessings, her magic can be released for you, because by allowing that feminine creative element in a decision, we also are invited to connect a bit deeper within. And I feel that there's clarity on what you want. And maybe it's just a bit of time that's needed, because sometimes we do know what we want. It's just kind of scary to admit it to ourselves. And also because we're scared of the implications. But then the question is actually not what do I want, but it's who will I be, because, or who am I because I want that. You are already that. So just because you choose not to express a want or not live it, it doesn't mean that it's not there. And so you can actually choose whether you want to express yourself or not. And so your second card is actually the Sun card, which is, again, you also have all the cards as pictures down in the post. Um, and the Sun card is the highest energy card in the deck, and it's the answer to what are you ready to receive. So there's a lot of aliveness that you're ready to receive. And so maybe that indecision is calling you to rest, like my little doggo baby here, um, and face the fears that you're maybe quite scared of receiving what you really want. It's really a card of things being in unity, of childlike joy, of energy, of an expression, of light pouring out from you. So I feel like whatever drew you to this reading, maybe there's some questions flickering in the back of your mind. Should I do this or not? Or am I right here or not? There's really an aliveness that wants to come out, and it currently needs feminine care and nesting. Um, and time. Just give it time, and things will happen much faster down the line, usually than expected. And the third card, where you place your energy. The Eon. And uh, that one is such an amazing card. And for me, so what you see here is, amongst others, the goddess Nuit, so who's the god of the night. She was said to pull up the night sky. And we also have, I think it's Osiris, and then we have the child of Osiris and Isis. Um, whereas, yeah, I'm bad with Egyptian lore. But we have these. You see, we have the babies down here. You're gonna see that. You see that on the picture. I feel like you're actually very much drawn to or invited for the mystery, the unnameable. Like, there's something new that wants to be born out of this. The Eon is also an invitation to take the bird's eye perspective. So, almost where to place your energy is, the first word I had there was actually dreaming. And now it does make sense, because the one thing is, we could say night dreams, working with that. There's going to be more on the channel also for this. Um, so, night dreams, symbol work, the numinous, and yet also daydreaming. So, maybe when you take these breaks, you want to dream about, what do I want to create in my life? How do I want to live? These kinds of things. You're actually really invited to dream of that, and that is going to provide the clarity and the energy to make these decisions. And this is probably not how you're used to going about decisions. Maybe you're very structured, pro, con, whatever. If that was it, you would have done it. But when I say you're very clear on what you want, that then there's really a dream that's tickling in your heart that wants to come out. And so by taking that bird's eye perspective, I think meditation can be such a beautiful tool, or being here, maybe also just by me sharing this, you already know what this is pertaining to. Maybe that is exactly the life of leading a more intuitive life, of leading a more connected life with the world around you, with the unconscious, with the mysteries. Then this is what you're called to do. And to create that life is to surrender to this, right? So this is how you create it, in this very moment. And so, I mean, your significator card was Aletheia, the truth. And there is a truth really that wants to come out and be spoken from you and be released. And that is something big, something important. So whatever, even if you downplay it, I don't know, is it writing a book that you have in your heart, or is it having a partner or a certain job or dream that you're pursuing? That is meaningful. And how does life feel when you let go of the indecision, but you maybe just allow whatever is meaningful to you to be meaningful? Because that indecision is probably also a past trauma of people not deeming the things meaningful or important that you thought. So you had to adapt to this, and now you're ready to outgrow that. And by actually working that very muscle of what you want to bring into your life. So by living this now. I hope this resonates. If it does, I would be really curious to hear in the comments, maybe, or in a DM, what I brought up for you. Feel free to share it with someone, a fellow dreamer. And then I hope to see you maybe on the 8th of August for our little live tarot circle, or in the replay. And thank you so much, pile number 2. All right, pile number 3, welcome so much. We've had the card, the Village, for you. So Let's see what we got going for your three questions. So we have 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, interesting. So, what are you ready to let go of? And we have the card King Tide. You see all of the cards also down below in the post. Plenty, prosperity, receiving the fullness of life. So, dear one, if your heart stops now and you're like, I'm not allowed to be prosperous, um, I think that's the very thing that you're invited to let go of. Um, when I speak of letting go, I always see it in two sides. The one thing of letting go is what are you ready to really clear out from your life? And the second thing is what are you ready to let go in terms of express it? And I feel here it's very clear. Um, there is such an abundance apparently in your life, and you are invited to release that into the world. There's something within you that's really ready to be shared, and I want to bring in here the card number 2, which is very interesting. If you were also drawn to pile number 2, you could also look at pile number 2, but then have it for a different area of your life. Very concretely, it's just because that card came up too, but in a different position, and it's the card indecision. And the indecision card in pile number 2, it was 1. So they were invited to let go of the invitation. You, on the other hand, are invited to let go of the indecision. You, on the other hand, are invited to let in the indecision. And you know what? Because with having such a fullness of life within you, or receiving it, like you are ready to receive the fullness of life, you're ready to express and share your prosperity with yourself, right? It's not you have to do anything for others. That's more, for instance, writing makes you happy, you receive your creativity, you express your creativity, and others benefit from it too, maybe because they read what you share, maybe because you're just around them and you resonate in that courage of writing, in your truth. Um, and you're invited to look at the indecision, because once we acknowledge our talents and our prosperity, we also see where there's limits. Maybe I am very creative, but I am very sensitive at the same time. So that means in certain areas I cannot show up like I used to, because I'm now offering my energy to this other thing. And the indecision is also often what I notice once people allow themselves to tap really into their potentials and into their freedom. There is a bit of an indecision because it's a bit overwhelming in the beginning to have more freedom. If I have these talents and I allow myself to see it as that, then it is a bit overwhelming to decide where to place it. And so the question is really, what is important to you? And the third card for you is actually very interesting also, because the question is where to place your energy. And that, I think, helps you for making these decisions, then where your prosperity, where that richness within you is allowed to go. Somehow not sharpening. Fulfillment. And fulfillment is with Saturn in Sagittarius. Um, And so when you make that decision, what you are invited to bring in is what fulfills you. And maybe sometimes when we surrender to indecision, we need to have a little bit of an experimentation phase, right? We need to try things out and see, oh, when I do this, does this actually make me happy? Does this actually fulfill me? So this is really what can guide you. It's very clear, it's very simple. And I love how it's so beautiful, because on the one hand, let's say for instance, let's stick with that example. You're writing, right? So you're opening up to that prosperity that wants to come through you, because creativity is never our own. And you express it for yourself. And then you start to change, or you express that and ripples out. And you face that indecision of, oh, now that I have this talent and there's so many things I could write. Do I want to write poetry? Do I want to write essays? Where do I want to write? Oof. Okay. And then in order to find that out, You experiment, you try maybe a bit of poetry and see, oh, that doesn't fulfill me. You also go with the flow, right? We have the water cards here for you. It's raining, so water is flowing, water is allowed to change. So there's an invitation to experiment and then also to use this prosperity to hold you in that maybe in that overwhelm of freedom, in that maybe, I don't know what to do. I don't want to make a wrong decision. Right with that. Right with that fear of making a wrong decision. Tell yourself a story of a person that made a wrong decision and what happened afterwards. Use that again, that indecision and whatever it brings up. Maybe it also brings up a bit of comfort of saying, oh, I don't know, so I don't have to do anything. Interesting. Use it as the fuel. Where you're really guided to go is towards fulfillment, and you know this inside of yourself. And maybe that very thing that comes up when I offer you fulfillment, maybe there are some doubts within you of how fulfilled can I be? Is that okay? Um, that is part of being processed through that prosperity, offering that part of your trauma, because you also have the village card, and the village is about the hero or heroine living that space where they came from, leaving that space where they came from. They used to be in the village with all the gossip and everything, and now they're leaving on their own adventure. So there's something very new that you're embarking on, and that is maybe a level of prosperity and richness and abundance that the environment you came through was not used to, was not allowed to have. And so that is something new that you are invited to create for yourself, not for the others, for yourself. Because we don't create prosperity for others. They need to, because then we would force them to tap into it, right? So we focus on our own fulfillment, and then the people who also vibrate at that level, for a lack of a better word, um, they will find us. And you've probably experienced that in your life before, where you've changed some things and people had to leave some former ideas of prosperity, and then something new came along. And so there's a lot of courage that's being asked of you, but I feel that that courage is part of that which flows through you, if that makes sense. So that, let's stick with the writing. The writing is what gives you courage. That's the odd thing. So there is also a lot of richness in that. It doesn't mean that you should only rely on that one thing. A richness means also a diversity of things. So also maybe when in indecision you cling to one thing, again, use that richness, that fulfillment. How can I be with not knowing how to move ahead with my writing? What else fulfills me? Right? Maybe it's my relationship. It's time to let go and invest in that or spend time with people. Um, Very beautiful reading, pile number 3. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. With this, I wrap this up here. Please let me know in the comments how it resonated with you. And I hope I see you on our little live tarot circle on the 8th of August or in the recording. If you enjoyed this, please like it or share it within your network. I thank you so much for being here. And this was Mesmerized with Nina. Thank you.